Greetings, Internet. It's the amazing Flec, and we're here for the Padiddling tutorial. Padiddling! 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 Please pardon the funny lighting. I have to do some uplighting in order to capture another angle so you can see what's going on with my finger. Today, Lucy and I are going to teach you how to padiddle, or spin flat objects on the tip of your finger. This will be episode 2 of the Circus and Flow Arts Basics series that I'll be doing here on my channel. Before I get any further here, safety is the #1 issue when it comes to doing circus and flow arts. We want to make sure that our surroundings are taken care of, that we're taken care of, and no living things or inanimate objects that we have value for are at risk of potentially getting hurt. So with that being considered, you want to select a good location where there's nothing around the immediate area where if you're spinning something and it flies off the handle, that nothing gets hurt, or injured. You got to use your best judgment here. And please, as with all of my videos, do all these practices at your own risk. Take responsibility for your own actions. Don't blame some guy on the internet. So you're going to want to select an object to spin on your finger. One object I would suggest starting with, and this might not be the most popular idea for a lot of other circus and flow artists, but I like, if you have a flat square pillow lying around your house, it's really hard to hurt yourself or other things with it. There's a couple advantages to it. When you're spinning a pillow on your finger, it folds down like that over top of your finger, just like that. How it kind of, yeah, I know, Lucy. It kind of falls down over the tips of your fingers, and it's easier to spin something that's convex rather than concave. So like a bowl going downward is easier to spin on your finger than a bowl going up. Oh, I know. No one ever pays attention to you, huh? Sometimes she's a little needy. And that's okay. I can be too. I need you, Lucy! Anyway, so if you're using a pillow, it makes it it makes it a little bit easier for you to spin it and also find the center, so it balances on your finger just fine. Hey, look at this. We got a Lucy the cat. So I don't feel too worried about spinning this on my finger while my manager's here, and she obviously feels comfortable enough to be sitting here as well as I'm spinning this. She's seen me do this millions of times around the house. She thinks it's just an extension of my body. And that's the idea here. We're going to learn how to make this an extension of your body. So let me show you a couple other objects around the house that I found to demonstrate padiddling with. And once again, I would recommend starting with this is perfect. You can't, even if you hit yourself, it's not going to hurt or anything. It's not going to damage anything. Maybe wear safety glasses so you don't potentially dry out your eyeball. That's happened before to me, but the idea is once you learn how to do this and you understand the function of it, and you get a good grasp of feeling out the friction that's happening on the tips of the tip of your finger, you'll be able to operate with this like it's an extension of your body, and it gets easier and easier the more you practice, as with everything else in the circus and flow arts tutorials that I'll be doing. Look at that, huh? Let's try that again. Woo. Anyways, let's demonstrate some other objects. A classic object we see lots of people spinning on their fingers and padiddling is a plate, just a standard plate. And you can spin it from underneath, and it has that cup shape. And that's a little bit more difficult than, say, spinning it like this. Lucy's a little daredevil here. She's taking some risks, and I guess so am I. But one of my best qualities is that I'm completely overconfident. It's probably not a very good quality or virtuous. Anyways, moving forward. Another object you saw me spinning in a previous video is a book. What I like about this book is the colors on it. When you'll see later on an upward angled shot of these various objects spinning on my finger like this. You can see actually here on the monitor, I can see that you can see the colors as they spin. It makes it a little bit easier to see what's going on as it's happening. So a flat book is a good choice. The flatter and the bigger and the flatter, the better. You want something that has even weight throughout for the most part. A pillow is a little more variant, but nice and flat. A very, very, very solid choice to learn something to padiddle with. You know those saucer sleds, the big round ones? The bigger the object, the slower it wants to move, and the more of an opportunity you have to connect with the motion and the principles involved in the bediddling process. Cool stuff. I've always liked showing how to padiddle with fabrics and stuff like a towel, and the colors on this are really good to see what's going on as well. I folded it into a square to make it small enough that we can see it on the camera. So as you spin this, you can see what's going on. You can see the blues and the yellows and the greens whirling around the finger there. Unfortunately, you can't slow smaller objects down too much. The smaller the object, the faster you have to spin that object around in order for it to get stability. If you go slower, it's harder to regain that speed, and then it'll eventually just kind of wrap around your hand. So that first initial spin, you want to be a little bit off center and whip it around, and then once you get that going, you want to be a little bit off the center and just kind of spin it around. I'll show you a principle on that in just a second. At your local grocer's store marketplace, you can always get a pizza pie tin, and these work really, really well for spinning because they're nice, flat, evenly weighted, and there's a perfectly round edge. This is kind of a smaller version of those saucer sleds I was talking about. Although due to the smaller size compared to a saucer sled, you have to kind of spin this a little bit faster too. So there you have it. Once you get it going and you get that whipped around, it'll keep going. Once you get closer to the center, if you just kind of shake your finger back and forth, keeping a good amount of tension in that finger, keep it nice and stiff, and just kind of shake it back and forth, but to the rhythm of how it's moving. You have to feel it. It's a very, very feeling-oriented skill. So you feel how it wants to wobble, and you whip that around. You have to keep spinning around the center, and then the faster you spin it, the more your finger gets sucked into the center. And then once your finger's in the center, it just wants to start flying off. So it spirals out. So the idea is you want to keep spiraling it close to the center as the process itself wants to move you away from the center. And as you spiral closer to the center, you'll feel the speed increasing each time. So it's like this resetting. You're always resetting to get a little off center, get close to the center, and then it moves you off center, and then you reset it to get close to the center again, and then it goes off center, and so on and so forth. We also have a tray from a restaurant that was donated to me. The restaurant was throwing away old gnarly trays and they bought new ones. This one was a nice metal one, and I thought that I could use this for circus skills. So here you go. The advantage of having something this big, once again, is that the larger and flatter the object, the slower it wants to, the slower you can get away with padiddling it. I always like to whip things around really fast because the faster you spin it, the more stability you get on your finger. And it makes it a little bit easier for you to padiddle it. Yeah, if you spend some time and get used to the function, you can move from one finger to the other even, and that's kind of cool. Up next, we have this certificate of achievement that I'm going to give to myself after doing this episode because, you got to treat yourself after working hard. So I can write down, Certificate of Achievement. This certificate is proudly presented to the amazing Flec for excellent padiddling teaching skills. Just kidding. Okay. But nice thing about this is that you can see underneath here, you can see how it spins around. It's a nice visual for this purpose here. And what I want to use to really fully demonstrate the principles in this video is the largest, flattest object I can find around my house. And it is the top of a tote, a storage tote, and that I drew a square in the middle to make it easier to identify the center as I spin it around my finger like that. It's moving nice and slow, just like that. Before I pick that up and start spinning it on my finger and showing you how easy this is to do, I want to show you something that will give you an idea of what principles of motion are happening on the tip of the pad of your finger. To illustrate this point, I have two things. One I have is my very, very manly mask. I got this mask because a lot of the masks that are out there look like hospital or medical masks, or even just like black, and they hide your face. People can't see you smiling. There's a lot of emotion and nonverbal communication that happens that's just covered up. So I figured having something flowery like this would make me a little bit more friendlier looking than someone wearing a black mask and a black coat, in a marketplace. And I know a lot of us are desensitized to the masks, but that was the idea behind it. Anyways, we're not here to talk about masks. We're here to talk about padiddling. So the point I want to illustrate is this. When you're whipping that object around on the tip of your finger, the tip of your finger, not so much right here where this mask is swirling around my finger, the tip of your finger is going to feel this drag, this off-centered portion of the object on the tip of your finger that you're spinning, whether it's a book or a pillow or the top of a tote. What you're going to feel is the slight off-centered of it is going to have like this extra weight pulling from the friction point on the tip of your finger. It's going to pull one direction or the other. And what you need to do is be a little bit ahead of the curve of where that is going. So you'll feel it essentially kind of play with the extra weight and pull it ahead. You're gonna try to be ahead of where you want to be, ahead of the curve of where the extra weight is swirling around. And if you are a little bit ahead and you are commanding or in control of that energy moving around the pad of your finger, off the friction off the pad of the tip of your finger, that's kind of like the same feeling in the tip of your finger that you'll feel as it spins around the outside of your finger. I hope that makes sense. Another object I found to illustrate this point is a humble oven mitt. You can take this oven mitt and put it right here and then swirl around your finger. This feels a lot better. You don't have to pick one, you don't have to use a mask or an oven mitt to do this. This is purely a visual for you to see the idea behind what you're going to feel as you spin that object. In my case, I spin it counterclockwise. Yeah, I have a preferred direction I like to spin in. Is it counterclockwise? Yeah, I spin counterclockwise. This is a principle of motion that your finger will feel as you spin and padiddle that object around the tip of your finger. So let's get started. So here we go. You'll see here, my finger is in the center. If I find the center of the object, I can let go and it kind of balances and it teeters and moves around a little bit. Now you can't really get any momentum if you're perfectly on the center. If you move your finger around, the object will just kind of either stay balanced or fall right off of your finger. So now what we want to do is add a little bit of a spin, like this. The object spinning around and spinning around. You'll see, I'll stop it just so you can see the idea. You see how it's a little bit off center in this corner instead of in the center here? Well, now the extra weight is on this side. It's falling down this way, which means if this was an oven mitt spinning around the tip of my finger, what I need to do is fling this around, take advantage of this extra weight over here and use it for whipping around my finger. You see there? I wish I can slow this down a little bit more for you as I speak into, but that's essentially what's happening right there. I hope that you can see that easily. See if we can get a better angle there. You start a little bit off center and you spin it, and then that friction on the tip of your finger you want to pull and drag as if you have an oven mitt or a mask or some object. You gotta whip that around just like so. And once again, the flatter the object, the easier it will be to learn with. It'll slower, it'll spin for you. Go. We'll spin that just like so. I'll switch to the book to see if that gives a better visual. So here's our Principles of Aikido book. I still love the philosophy behind Aikido. It's a beautiful, beautiful martial art. So here we are. We'll start. Here's about the center right there between O-sensei or Morihei Ueshiba. This is his name, but we'll spin that around my finger just like this. I wish I can slow it down, but once again, you have to go at a certain speed to keep that stability. If you go too slow, it falls right off your finger. And it does help to make sure that you keep tension in your finger and you keep your forearm nice and tense and straight. Not too rigid, but you want to make sure you keep a good amount of energy going through the finger so you can maintain like a nice pointed finger as you spin that imaginary weight around, keeping that force tight. So as it goes off center, you'll notice that it starts getting more and more unstable, and the solution to that is to put that force in the finger And you have to take advantage of being slightly off center in order to keep going. So you have to go a little bit off center, and you can keep that force happening, just like that. Pillows are fantastic. So you spin this around and around and around and around. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The art of padiddling, all at the tip of your finger. Well, that just about wraps up episode 2 of Circus and Flow Art Tutorials. I'd like to thank you for stopping by and taking the time to watch this video to the very end. I appreciate it very much. Please check out my other videos on my channel. I post a video every single day, kind of like a vlog style, sometimes tongue-in-cheek, jokey, silly videos, sometimes a rant or a rambling about something I find interesting. Be sure to watch out. Every Sunday, we'll be doing another Circus and Flow Arts tutorial. Every Sunday, learn a new skill. Pretty fun stuff. So yeah, please remember to subscribe, like, share, and comment on any of the videos that you see that you like. And from myself, the amazing Flec, and my manager, Lucy the cat, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. And remember to keep safe, be well, stay humble, and peace.